When I was determined to give up everything, to study abroad in a foreign country, the girlfriend who had once promised to spend her life with me was completely unaware, because, at that moment, she was passionately involved with her childhood sweetheart who had just returned to the country. Looking at the wall clock showing 1 a.m., I made a silent decision in my heart. I would leave Su Yudi, leave her forever. When Su Yudi returned, it was already 2 a.m. The strong smell of cigarettes made her frown. Chuangxiang, didn't you already quit smoking? Why are you smoking again? Her voice clearly showed displeasure. When her eyes fell on my figure curled up on the sofa, her attitude softened. Smoking so much is bad for your health. Don't smoke anymore. She walked up to me, reaching out to grab the cigarette. Seeing Su Yudi's concerned expression, my voice wasn't very good. Su Yudi, didn't you see the messages I sent? But Su Yudi just blurted out an excuse. Today I was in the lab all day. Didn't have time to check my phone. After speaking, she didn't care whether I believed her or not. She turned and went into the bathroom. Very quickly, the sound of rushing water rang out. At that moment, the phone she had tossed on the coffee table suddenly vibrated, recalling what I had overheard earlier in the day. My interlaced hands trembled slightly. I leaned forward slightly, picked up the ringing phone, skillfully entered the password, opened the messages. It was from a young man. His profile picture was a blue bear with the name Gu Xingchen. Yudi, thank you for hosting today. I've arrived home safely. Looking at the intimate greeting on the screen, my finger uncontrollably scrolled up, and the chat history from 9 p.m. yesterday appeared clearly before my eyes. I am returning home today. Will you come pick me up? Between the two messages, there wasn't even a time gap. It was clearly an immediate response with an address. Last night, Su Yudi came home at 8:50 p.m. and also took a shower. She came out an hour later, so she had been replying to messages. My eyelashes trembled slightly. I pressed my lips together. Then I exited, clicked on the profile picture labeled Zhuangxiang. From early morning, it's raining today. Remember to bring an umbrella. To lunch break, remember to eat on time. Then pictures of daily necessities in a shopping cart. Even cute dogs encountered by chance on the road. At a glance, it was all white chat boxes connected to each other. Dozens of dense messages were all sent from me to her. She hadn't replied to a single one, when placed side by side for comparison. I, this nominal boyfriend, was so pathetic. I don't know if it was because I had decided to leave, or if I had truly let go. I realized everything without feeling heartbroken. I gently placed the phone back on the coffee table. In my mind, like a movie, countless images appeared. The clearest was still the scene when I first met Su Yudi at the freshman orientation ceremony. She gave a speech as the representative of the new students, with a face so beautiful it left people speechless. In an instant, she quickly dominated the confession board and honorably received the title of Campus Beauty. Over the years, boys pursued her like fish swimming upstream. One by one, they tried their best to leap over the dragon gate, to pick that proud flower. But she was naturally cold. She wouldn't even glance at the campus heartthrob, breaking the hearts of countless young men. I, with my infatuated heart, was of course also miserably rejected, but I was more persistent than the other boys. The more cruelly I was rejected, the more I persisted without giving up. Perhaps heaven rewards the determined. After a year of effort, confessing more than 20 or 30 times, I finally became Su Yudi's official boyfriend. But even though we were together, she still wasn't close with me. She still didn't reply to messages or answer calls, just like before. She always spoke extremely briefly, but that did nothing to cool my enthusiasm. I instead took even more care with this relationship, afraid that a moment of carelessness would lose her. After 3 years of dating, I even began to believe that Su Yudi was born a cold beauty, until the day my laptop broke, and I had to borrow her computer. This ridiculous perception was completely shattered. I accidentally clicked on a hidden folder. Inside were more than 1,000 photos of the same young man. After secretly copying one, I asked around among a few friends, finally figured out. The young man who often appeared in Su Yudi's USB drive was Gu Xingchen, her childhood sweetheart who grew up with her. Although there were many people of the same age who played together, the two of them were particularly close. Someone said Su Yudi, like Gu Xingchen, she had prepared to confess after the college entrance exam, but was stopped by him with one sentence: "We will always be good friends." Then Gu Xingchen was arranged by his family to study abroad, and she was admitted to Hua University. The two separated from then on. After understanding everything, I realized, it turns out, she wasn't born cold. It's just that no one was worthy of her attention. For half a month, I lived in a daze, always wanting to find an opportunity to ask her whether she had finally let go of Gu Xingchen. But before I could speak up, I accidentally heard another piece of telev news. Someone told me the reason Su Yudi agreed to be with me was simply to forget Gu Xingchen. She wanted to use a new relationship to fill her heart that was full of Gu Xingchen. If there was no Gu Xingchen, even if it took 10 years to warm her cold heart, I would still be willing, because in everyone's eyes, I was the only lover she publicly acknowledged. But after knowing about Gu Xingchen's existence, despite being treated coldly for 3 years without giving up like me, for the first time, I felt deeply tired. I didn't want to become a tool for Su Yudi to forget someone else, nor did I want to continue waiting for a woman whose heart always remembered someone else, so I decided to hide it from her, to leave completely. The alarm clock rang. Su Yudi had just come out of the bathroom. While drying her hair, she took her phone into the study, seeing that she had no intention of Resting. I frowned slightly. Su Yudi worked according to his schedule, never staying up late. This alarm was a reminder to go to sleep. I stood up and followed. Couldn't help but ask, "It's late, aren't you going to rest?" Su Yudi's hand swiped quickly, her eyes still glued to the phone. Without looking at me, "Still have some topics to finish." A moment later, after being together for 3 years, I saw a Su Yudi like this for the first time, to meet Gu Xingchen. She broke her rule and came home at 10:30, but didn't show any guilt. She casually made up a reason to brush me off. She even delayed her rest time. I looked at her clumsy lie and said nothing, turned and went to the bedroom. The bedroom was diagonally across from the study. I could clearly see what was happening inside. The woman who said she was busy with her thesis held her phone, her eyes never leaving it. The corners of her mouth always showing a faint smile, being together for so long. This was the first time I had seen Su Yudi so happy. I couldn't help but feel a bit dazed. So in front of the person one likes, even the coldest ice mountain will melt, right? She doesn't not know how to love. It's just that the person she loves isn't me. I gently closed the bedroom door, with a self-mocking smile pulling at the corners of my mouth. 30 more days. I will leave. By then Su Yudi will be able to openly and honestly pursue her true love, having decided to let go. Why bring misery upon myself? The next day was beautiful. I had already gone out early to buy breakfast. When I returned, Su Yudi had just woken up. The two of us sat facing each other after finishing breakfast. She picked up her coat intending to go out. Remembering our appointment from last week, I still called out to her. "Today is Saturday, a day off. Didn't we already plan to go to Triangyet Mountain to see the sunset?" Su Yudi's hurried steps paused for a moment. The professor unexpectedly assigned some tasks. "Can't go." I silently swallowed a piece of bread. In my mouth, I nodded. Seeing that I didn't say anything, Su Yudi added 2 more sentences. "It'll take you next time. Next month, I should be free." If it were the me from before, hearing her take the initiative to say this, I would certainly have been jumping with joy, but my current self had no reaction, just gently said, The stark contrast made Su Yudi feel something was different. She glanced at me, caught sight of the calendar on the table. She casually found a topic. "When did you buy that?" "A countdown calendar. Do you have something important coming up in those days?" Looking at the number 30 marked in red, I reached out and tore off a page. The number immediately changed to 29. "Bought it this morning. I have some urgent matters to deal with in a month." A daily reminder. Hearing that my voice was normal, Su Yudi didn't ask further. Walking to the front hall, changed her shoes, pulled the door. "I'll bring you pineapple tarts when I come back late tonight. Rest at home. Okay?" The final sound of this sentence was swallowed by the closing door. I stood in place with a bitter smile. The corners of my eyes disobediently turned slightly red. After finishing breakfast, I took out a large bag, cleaned out the unusable things in the apartment, preparing to throw them away later. The pair of couple mugs bought long ago but never used, various styles of razors, empty photo frames bought to hang our photos together, one by one. All were things I had carefully selected a long time ago, but Su Yudi had never used them. Just like this apartment, I was the one who decorated it when we moved in, but she just treated it like a dormitory-style hotel. Never cared about it, but it's okay. I wouldn't use these things in the future either, and when I am gone, she would surely move out too. This apartment would be empty. All memories of the two of us would be completely erased. After being busy for so long, the sky had already darkened. I dragged the full garbage bag, pulled it to the trash can and threw it away. Finally had some free time. I leaned back on the sofa to rest, took out my phone and opened WeChat. The latest post was from a young man with a blue bear profile picture, posting a sunset photo. In the middle of the picture was the side silhouette of a girl, a hand reaching over holding a box of pineapple tarts. Looking at the beautiful sunset light on the screen, my eyes wavered momentarily. Zhu Xingchen's contact information. I had secretly added him by contacting many people behind Su Yudi's back. After adding him, one day, I saw Gu Xingchen post, "Really want to eat pineapple tarts from abroad," on WeChat. Then I understood why she liked to buy this dessert for me. Gradually, I discovered more clues. The laundry detergent she insisted on using, the flowers she gave me, the decorations she bought. I could find identical items in Gu Xingchen's WeChat. Su Yudi being with me was clearly to forget Gu Xingchen. The result was she became immersed in it, directly treating me as his substitute. Thinking about it over and over, I sighed softly. In my eyes flashed complicated emotions. Perhaps I had been sad too many times. Among those emotions, there was no longer sadness. I covered my chest feeling slightly choked, stood up and opened the refrigerator, took out cucumbers and washed a few, slowly nibbled. The clock hand on the wall rotated, round after round. It was nearly dawn. When Su Yudi finally came home, she came empty-handed, seemingly having forgotten her promise when leaving. Stepping in the door, she looked around, frowned. "Why does it feel like the house is missing some things?" This afternoon, I cleaned out some unused items. Su Yudi nodded, slowly took off her sleeves, not keeping this matter in mind. Looking at her slender back, I lowered my eyes. Actually, if she had looked carefully, she would certainly have noticed. Many of the things that disappeared were items I used daily. With her intelligence, it would be easy to guess that I was planning to leave, but in her heart and eyes, she only had Gu Xingchen. Not paying attention to these small changes makes sense, doesn't it? Why would anyone care? about the unusual behavior of a boyfriend who's no different from a roommate. While I was self-mockingly thinking, Su Yuti suddenly asked me a question. Where can I get a Liu maid? I don't really understand these trending things. Last night, Gu Xingchen just posted on WeChat. Today, she was already thinking about gifting it to him. I was stunned, then answered her. Liu Ma is a recent trend. It's temporarily difficult to find someone trustworthy to make it. But coincidentally, I know how. Let me make it for you, okay? Hearing that I knew how, Su Yuti's expression was slightly stunned. She seemed to feel asking your boyfriend to make something for the man you like was somewhat inappropriate, but perhaps because she wanted so badly to please Gu Xingchen. In the end, she still nodded. I'll send you the style and specific requirements. I agree with a sound, turned and left, not letting her discover the red at the corners of my eyes. Late at night, I compared with Gu Xingchen's WeChat, stayed up all night to finish it. Before Su Yuti went out the door, I handed the Liu Ma to her. Seeing my red-rimmed eyes, rare concern appeared on her face. A word of thanks. I shook my head, my voice carrying a hint of weariness. No need to thank me, as long as you like it. Su Yuti didn't stand on ceremony either, turned and left the room, looking at her back that didn't turn around. The corner of my mouth moved slightly, said a sentence too soft to hear. I'll consider it the last gift I give you both before I leave. This time after leaving, Su Yuti didn't come home all night. She didn't notice anything unusual, besides going to class. She was by Gu Xingchen's side, every day, leaving early, returning late, occasionally not even seeing my face. I didn't bother her anymore either. Still packed my luggage and belongings, the room becoming emptier day by day. A few more days passed. I was counting winter clothes when a sudden call came. Zhuangxiang, Sister Yuti is drunk. Can you come pick her up at the KTV? Su Yuti drunk? Doesn't she avoid alcohol? I frowned, but I didn't think much about it. Directly took my phone and went downstairs to catch a taxi. This KTV wasn't too far. A few minutes later, I found the room according to the address. The door was ajar. I pushed it open gently. One glance, and I saw Su Yuti falling into a young man's arms, the two whispering intimately, looking exactly like a couple in love. Seeing this ambiguous scene, my heart skipped a beat. I took a deep breath before walking over, extending my hand toward Gu Xingchen. Hello, I am Yuti's boyfriend. Gu Xingchen hearing these words. Gu Xingchen grabbed my hand while pushing Su Yuti away, trying to wake her up. Yuti, your boyfriend is here. Wake up. Su Yuti's face flushed from drinking, fell back into Gu Xingchen's arms. She even hugged his arm, whispering, You are my boyfriend. These words. Everyone in the room showed embarrassed expressions, but my face remained very calm. I took out some pills from my pocket and handed them over. She's drunk. I brought some sobering medicine. Wait until she's clear-headed before going home. After drinking water and swallowing them, Su Yuti indeed gradually sobered up. As soon as she looked up and saw my face, she hurriedly escaped from Gu Xingchen's arms, explaining, I just mistook the person. I didn't say anything, just smiled. I know. Let's go home. Su Yuti agreed, picked up her coat intending to leave. One of the girls, who was clearly also drunk, blocked her way. Why do you want to leave already? Yuti, you normally only remember your experiments and thesis topics. You don't go out with us sisters even once a year. We finally borrowed Xingchen's face to get you out. Don't desert us. Right. Our game is about to begin. If you leave now, it's too heartless. The girls didn't care whether she wanted to or not. Pulled her to sit down and started reading the rules. Today we're playing big. A little bit of Russian roulette. The person designated must publicly reveal a secret to everyone. Su Yuti seemed to not want to leave either. She looked toward me, but there wasn't a trace of emotion on my face. Since we're already here, let's play. Hearing her agree, the little friends cheered and began. In the first round, Su Yuti was honorably selected. Everyone immediately got excited. Ha ha ha, finally caught you. Yuti, but since this is your first time playing, we'll make the punishment a bit lighter. Let's see who is at the top of your contacts and pinned in WeChat. Indeed, a very light punishment, but Su Yuti fell silent. Several girls became noisy again. What's the big deal? Sister Yuti already has a boyfriend. The pinned one must be your boyfriend. Seeing someone help explain, Su Yuti's expression faded. If you all already know, then there's no need to look. Change to something else. There was still someone who wouldn't give up, insisted on that punishment, even took advantage when she wasn't paying attention to grab her phone. As soon as it was opened, 3 words appeared. Gu Xingchen. Everyone in the room stared in bewilderment, speechless. Su Yuti didn't explain a single word. She took her phone, stood up, and walked out. You all keep playing. I am going to the bathroom for a moment. After being gone for 10 minutes, I was afraid she might be vomiting, followed to check. But I heard Su Yuti's voice at the bathroom door. I am drunk, not dead. Why did you deliberately turn the wine bottle toward me and intentionally make this kind of request, making everyone uncomfortable? Yuti, how many years have you liked Gu Xingchen? Everyone knows, yet you can't say it out. I thought of this method, just to help you, to achieve your wish of many years. Your boyfriend is still being kept in the dark. What you're doing to him isn't fair either, just by tearing this window paper. He will surely know when to retreat. For the good intentions of your sisters. Su Yuti's voice showed impatience. My affairs don't need your concern. In the future, don't make decisions on your own. Hearing the conversation between the two of them, I couldn't help but smile, but the corners of my eyes had a wet redness. I took a deep breath. turned and walked into the men's restroom, splashed a handful of cold water on my face, dried off and texted Su Yudi, "Let's go. I'll wait for you outside." Then Su Yudi took her bag, slowly walked downstairs. Just as we reached the door, Zhuang Xiang's mother called, rattling on at length, finally asking if I was ready. My voice was extremely flat. "I am all prepared here. I can leave any time." Just as I finished speaking, Su Yudi's voice came from behind. "Leave? Where do you want to go?" Turning around to see Su Yudi's cold face, I unconsciously lowered my eyes. "Nothing. In a few days, there's a competition I want to participate in," casually finding a reason to brush it off. I was stunned. Turned out I also knew how to lie, but seeing Su Yudi's indifferent expression, I didn't worry about it anymore. In this 3-year-long chase, I just wanted to retreat gracefully. I didn't want to become a pathetic loser who gets discarded, although that my decision to leave was because Go Xingchen had returned, but I didn't want her to know, so I planned to leave quietly. Anyway, she didn't like me. Whether this goodbye was said or not, she actually wouldn't care either, right? Su Yudi didn't know my inner thoughts, raised her hand to hail a taxi. Just as the two of us were about to get in, Gu Xingchen ran down from upstairs. "Yudi, you forgot your phone." "Zhuang Xiang, let's be friends." After handing over the phone, Zhu Xingchen looked up at me with a full smile. I raised my head to look at Su Yudi, seeing she didn't object. After hesitating a bit, I still opened my QR code. Yu Xingchen took his phone to scan it, looked at me in surprise, opened his mouth as if to ask something. The words came to his lips but became goodbye until the two of us got into the taxi. The night wind blew in, somewhat dispersing the alcohol. Su Yudi was a bit clearer-headed, finally gave a belated explanation, her tone still bland. "Zhuang Xiang. Zhu Xingchen and I grew up together. Since childhood, the pin at the top was set up in high school. Over the years, I forgot to change it." I didn't respond to her. After a long silence, Su Yudi finally reacted, tilted her head to look at me, but only saw a face full of tears. After 3 years together, this was the first time she had seen me cry. For a moment, she was confused. "What's wrong with you?" "Nothing. Just now the wind was strong. Sand got in my eyes." After speaking, I raised my hand to wipe my tears, forced to smile. Then I leaned over, looked at the scenery flashing by outside. In my mind, I was still recalling the surprised look on Gu Xingchen's face just now. Secretly looking at your girlfriend's childhood sweetheart's WeChat. At the moment when the person in question discovers you, I had lost completely. That's why I cried. Because in this triangle relationship, I will forever be the one who doesn't see that light, forever the one begging for alms. If from the beginning I hadn't insisted on pursuing Su Yudi, hadn't liked her, stayed in the country for her, would I have kept my dignity? Too bad there are no ifs in this world. The path I chose myself. I can't blame anyone. Fortunately, everything is about to end. I am about to be freed. The first thing I did when I got home was to tear off a calendar page on the dining table. Looking at the large, clear number 21, Su Yudi felt it was a bit dazzling. Involuntarily looked toward me. I lowered my head, quietly went into the bedroom, not paying attention to her gaze. After showering, Su Yudi grabbed me as I was combing my hair, leaned down to kiss me. She usually didn't like such intimate gestures. Over the years, it had always been me initiating kisses. The two of us would just brush past each other with a light kiss like a dragonfly touching towel. Water. This was the first time I'd seen her take initiative like this. I couldn't help but freeze, raising my hand to push her away. "You've had too much to drink. Rest early." Seeing me turn to leave, Su Yudi became more confused, always feeling that something seemed to be slipping out of her control. Unconsciously hugged me. This time I didn't push her away. Her heart was pounding when I was determined to give up everything, to go abroad. The girlfriend who once said she would spend her life with me was completely unaware, because, at that time, she was getting intimate with her childhood sweetheart who had just returned. Looking at the wall clock showing 1 a.m., I silently decided in my heart I would leave Su Yudi, leave her forever. When I woke up, I saw Su Yudi sitting on the sofa. I was a little surprised, seeing me awake. She quickly put down her book, stood up. "Didn't we already arrange to watch the sunset together before? The weather hasn't been very good these days. First, let me take you to the park. When the sky clears, it'll take you to Trine Giant Mountain." Facing her orderly invitation, I calmly looked at her for a long time, before nodding slightly. Dating for 3 years, it was always me clinging to her. All kinds of dates. She had never said she wanted to go out with me on her own initiative. So hearing her say this today, I was indeed surprised. Perhaps she had noticed something unusual. I had already decided to let her go, so going out with her no longer gave me the joyful, excited mood of the past. The two of us played until the afternoon, wandering around everywhere, trying a few games, seeing my still indifferent expression. Su Yudi couldn't help asking if I wasn't enjoying myself. I smiled gently, shook my head slightly. "Nothing. Much fun." A photographer nearby saw the handsome boy and beautiful girl passing by, hurriedly approached. "Would you like to take a photo?" Su Yudi froze, suddenly remembered that in 3 years of dating, the two of them seemed to have never taken a photo together. Just about to speak, when her phone rang. Seeing the number, she gestured with her hand and then answered the phone. The person on the other end said something unknown. Her expression changed slightly. I stood beside her quietly watching. Saw her suddenly turn her head. I also turned around following her. Jiu Xingchen, wearing a panda headband, immediately caught both our eyes. as soon as she saw him. Su Yudi walked over immediately, her face full of joy, asking why he was here. As soon as Gu Xingchen appeared, indeed, she forgot everything else. I lowered my eyes, skillfully refused the photographer, then slowly walked over. It seems like the only photo together before I leave. We won't be able to take it after all. Gu Xingchen smiled brightly. I came to play with my senior today. She just had something to do, so she already left. I was getting bored. Didn't expect to see a back that looked a lot like you. I didn't expect it was really you. What a coincidence, Yudi. Su Yudi hearing this. The joy on her face immediately turned to coldness. What senior? What's her name? Do I know her? What's your relationship with her? Why did she ask you out to play as soon as you returned to the country? Seeing her urgent questioning expression, I stood stunned in place, my fingers unconsciously clenched. You know her. It's Liu Ruyan, the senior from 12th grade. She was also planning to study abroad 2 years ago. I helped her contact a professor. She just wanted to thank me. Although Zhu Jingshan had clearly explained the shall reason, Su Yudi's expression was still not good. If you want to go play somewhere in the future, call me. Don't go with those worthless people. To avoid making me worry about your safety. Known each other for so long, this was the first time I'd seen her show such strong possessiveness towards someone else. My eyes flashed with self-mockery. Being together for 3 years, she had never said such words to me. I am afraid that even if I stayed with another woman all night, she wouldn't notice. Next, Su Yudi didn't feel comfortable leaving Zhu Xingchen alone, so she suggested all 3 of us go together. Zhu Xingchen agreed without thinking. I also quietly nodded, walking behind them to the haunted house for couples. The room was like a pitch-black maze. Occasionally, frightening ghosts appeared. Zhu Xingchen had been screaming nonstop since entering, trembling and staying close to the wall. Su Yudi always stayed close beside him, carefully sheltering him, watching the two getting closer and closer. I said nothing, pushed open a mission door nearby. This haunted house was specially designed for couples, so as soon as I pushed the door open, what caught my eye was the text on the mission board. A male and female must kiss each other to receive the key. Seeing this text, Zhu Xingchen became anxious, looking around. All were couples holding hands. He was all alone. Occasionally, gloomy and terrifying ghost figures would appear. He was so scared that he just wanted to get out quickly, so he pulled a single girl who had just entered. Could you help me complete? Before he finished speaking, Su Yudi, who was waiting beside him, directly pulled his hand, pulled him into her arms, raised her head and gently kissed his lips. Gu Xingchen could still feel the moisture on his lips, stared at her with wide eyes. Su Yudi didn't raise her head, directly gave the key that had just appeared to him, said softly, "You're scared, you go out first." After speaking, she turned her head and saw me. Only then, remembering that I was following beside them, her expression changed slightly, seeming to be thinking how to explain, how to justify the outrageous action of kissing another man right in front of me. Timid Gu Xingchen. Before I could speak, Zhu Xingchen had already screamed and rushed outside, looking at the NPCs chasing after him. Su Yudi, afraid of scaring him, pulled him and ran toward the exit. The narrow path immediately became chaotic. I was held back by the crowd, watching those two figures getting further and further away. The one left behind in the end was still me, right? Although he had escaped from the haunted house, Zhu Xingchen still hadn't recovered, continuously patting his proffer chest. In his mind, he couldn't help recalling the terrifying scenes just now. Thinking of that kiss, his face immediately turned red, embarrassedly glaring at Su Yudi. Yudi, you were too impulsive just now. Even if you were worried, we shouldn't have done that in front of your boyfriend. He will certainly misunderstand. At that time, we left in a hurry. Su Yudi didn't know how I had reacted when I saw it. She couldn't guess what was in my mind, so she didn't continue. Glanced at the tightly closed door. Zhu Xingchen continued mumbling. This mission is too strict. How could Zhuang Xiang complete it alone? Would he also randomly grab someone to kiss? Su Yudi shook her head. No, look how firmly he speaks. Zhu Xingchen glanced at me with slight surprise. How are you so sure? Well, he really likes me. There's no one else in his eyes. I happened to walk to the door and heard that sentence. The corner of my mouth revealed a bitter smile. So she knew everything. Knew I liked her to the point of no cure. So she cruelly hurt me like this? I smoothed my hair damp with cold sweat, raised my hand to push the door and walked out. Seeing me come out, Zhu Xingchen hurriedly came forward and warmly grabbed my hand, with a concerned expression asking, Zhuangxiang, how did you get out? I stepped aside a few steps, kept a distance from him, with a cold voice. It's very simple. Just give up the game. The NPCs will let the player out. Hearing me speak so lightly, Zhu Xingchen stared at Su Yudi with wide eyes. You can give up too? Then just now, before he could finish, Su Yudi interrupted. Too worried about you. Sorry. Zhu Xingchen's face was still flushed, looking toward me with a cautious tone. I am fine. As long as Zhuangxiang, you don't mind. Me and Yudi played house when we were little. We've kissed many times, just playing around. Can't be considered real. I looked at the two cooperating so smoothly, speechless, quietly walked toward the exit. After that scare, both were exhausted. Zhu Xingchen took the initiative to say goodbye, returned home alone, watching his car disappear in the distance. Su Yudi finally turned her gaze to me. Today was tiring. Shall we go eat? Is Western food okay? Seeing her unusual proactiveness today, I guessed it was because of that kiss. She felt somewhat guilty in her heart, still wanted to make it up to me. At this point, actually, I no longer cared about such small matters. So I pretended nothing had happened, agreed right away. The two of us went to a nearby French restaurant. Su Yudi even deliberately reserved a private room on the second floor. Looking at the beautiful night view from the window, and the romantic candlelit dinner in front of me, I still had little expression on my face, just staring at the yellow roses in the vase. Su Yudi was preparing to find a topic of conversation. A WeChat message suddenly popped up. After opening to see the content, she almost stood up immediately. I suddenly have something I need to go. Zhuangxiang, can you eat alone? I glanced at her, didn't ask what was happening, just nodded slightly. Su Yudi grabbed her coat, quickly went downstairs. The waiter brought up all the dishes we had just ordered. Seeing the waiter look around in surprise, I said nothing, picked up my knife and fork and began to enjoy dinner. Finished eating at exactly 7 o'clock, I took out my phone, after calling a car. Bored. I opened WeChat. My finger gently swiped. The interface refreshed. Gu Xingchen's latest post appeared in my sight, along with a photo taken in the hospital. Layers of bandages wrapped around his calf. Faintly, blood could be seen. Such bad luck. How could I have a chain of accidents while out playing? Just returned to the country and already in the hospital. After returning home, I received a message from Su Yudi's junior classmate. Brother, why did Sister Yudi ask for 4 days off? I texted her, but she's not replying. Did something happen? No need to guess. I knew why she had asked for leave, but I still found a reason to explain for her. After all, Su Yudi was in the lab every day, never late or leaving early. Now suddenly asking for so many days off. It was unavoidable that people would be suspicious. Her family has something going on. After explaining, then I went to the dining table, raised my hand to tear off another calendar page. Became 20. After tomorrow, it would be the start of a new beginning. Thinking about the upcoming trip, I took a deep breath, dragged my tired body into the bathroom, perhaps due to being active all day. That night, I slept very deeply. Woke up only at noon the next day. The apartment was quiet. All items were undisturbed, still in their places. Su Yudi was absent all night again. I was used to being alone. Went to the kitchen, took out milk, poured a glass, drank slowly, started a lonely day, day after day. The calendar on the table went from 20 to 15. No news from Su Yudi, as if she had evaporated from my world. I was busy packing luggage, while preparing the related documents, only occasionally when free. Would I remember this girlfriend? Perhaps Su Yudi was busy taking care of Gu Xingchen. Never remembering. When I was determined to give up everything, to go abroad, the girlfriend who once said she would spend her life with me was completely unaware, because, at that time, she was getting intimate with her childhood sweetheart who had just returned. Looking at the wall clock showing 1 a.m., I silently decided in my heart I would leave Su Yudi, leave her forever. On Monday, the junior texted again, asking why Su Yudi still hadn't come to school. At this point, I finally called her, asked where she was. Su Yudi remained silent for half a minute on the phone, gave a formulaic answer. I've been busy with something lately. Can't come back for now. Seeing her still being so vague, I finally couldn't help but ask straight from my heart. It's about Gu Xingchen, isn't it? Seeing she couldn't hide it anymore, Su Yudi had to tell the truth. Gu Xingchen had a car accident a few days ago when returning home. Remembering that post, I casually asked another question about whether his injury was serious. Light injury, no effect on the chart, bones. But Gu Xingchen is afraid of injections and doesn't like taking medicine. As soon as he entered the hospital, couldn't eat well, couldn't sleep well. Someone always had to be by his side. To that day, because I didn't take him home, he had the accident. I feel a bit guilty in my heart, so I am still at the hospital taking care of him. Don't mind. Hearing her voice full of worry, just for a minor injury. I wanted to say it's okay, but couldn't open my mouth, not hearing a response. Su Yudi thought I was jealous, hurriedly apologized. I am sorry. Zhuangxiang. Eve made you worry these days. When Gu Jingken gets better, come back to you. I didn't take this promise to heart, reminded her to request leave, then hung up the phone. The time afterward flowed like water. The countdown went from 15 to 10, then to single digits. On the third countdown day, I brought the prepared study abroad files back to school for a trip, taking the opportunity to have a final meal with my classmates. They suddenly learned I was about to go abroad. Everyone was very reluctant to part, taking turns stepping up to toast farewell. Zhuangxiang, once you leave this time, it will be years before we see each other. Plus your parents work abroad. You won't never come back, will you? This is all too sudden, though we say life is full of partings, but everyone will miss you. Hope everything goes smoothly for you, no matter what. Be sure to keep in touch with us regularly, facing everyone's blessings and reminders. I was very moved, raised my glass, and drank it all to express my feelings. A few roommates looked around, not seeing Su Yudi's figure. Curiously asked a few questions. You're about to leave. Why isn't Su Yudi coming with you to complete the procedures? You haven't told her yet, have you? I lowered my head, smiled gently, didn't answer directly. She's been very busy lately. No free time. Everyone knew Flower Queen Su was a very busy person, so they didn't think much of it. Turned to comfort me. Actually, long-distance love isn't a big deal, as long as you remember each other. Love each other, that's enough. I responded with a smile, then raised my glass. covering the complex emotions in my eyes, but couldn't hide the confusion rising in my heart. Love indeed can cross 1,000 mountains and rivers. Maintain a relationship. Too bad Suyuti doesn't love me. This gathering lasted until 3 to 4 a.m. before dispersing. After returning to the apartment, I looked at the wall clock already showing 1 o'clock, raised my hand to tear off another calendar page, the second countdown day. I woke up very early. I cleaned the apartment from top to bottom, then took the things left over that I had arranged during this time, all together pulled downstairs to throw away. Next, I took the diary recording our years together and the secretly taken photos to the study. Page by page, put them into the paper shredder, mixed them into the kitchen trash, and threw them away. From now on, in the apartment where Suyuti and I had lived for 3 years, would no longer have any trace of me. The final countdown day. I rarely slept well. This sleep was especially long. Drawing back the curtains revealed a bright sunny day, very suitable for a departure. I got up and went to the kitchen, put the last bit of food I'd bought into the microwave, casually tore off the final calendar page. When the microwave made a ting sound, the door also transmitted the sound of unlocking. Suyuti, who hadn't been home for more than half a month, as soon as she entered, felt something was different. Many places in the Rakshan art of Velis and art of Palas Ader and Talon by Deader Dash room were empty. The calendar on the table was also completely torn off. Looking at it made her very uncomfortable, so she asked, "Why are so many things missing?" My voice was extremely calm. Things not used were thrown away. In the future, if you see anything you like, buy it again. Suyuti nodded, also not paying attention, carried the vegetables she had just bought into the kitchen, walking past the dining table. Seeing me eating so simply, she couldn't help but take the plate away. "Today is your birthday. Why are you just eating these things? Don't eat anymore. Let me cook." I was a bit surprised. She remembered. I sat on the sofa, listening to sounds coming from the kitchen, while watching the wall clock ticking each second without stopping. When several dishes were placed on the table, the phone placed on the table rang again. She put down the dish she was holding, pressed the answer button. "Yuti, where have you gone?" Ju Xingshen refuses to take his medicine again. "Come to the hospital quickly and persuade him." It was a middle-aged woman's voice. The tone sounded very similar to Gu Xingshen's. I guessed it must be his mother. Suyuti didn't answer immediately, but first looked down at my expression, seemingly asking for my opinion. "Just go if you're busy." Hearing me say this calmly, Suyuti sighed with relief, but she felt guilty towards me. So she hurriedly said she would make up for my birthday in a few days. I shook my head slightly, smiled and declined. Seeing my expression, Suyuti suddenly felt confused inside. Just about to ask, the doorbell suddenly rang. She hurriedly opened the door, received the mango cake ordered not long ago. When she returned, my expression had returned to normal. I stepped up to her, took the cake. This was so as not to delay her. The guilt in Suyuti's heart increased further. She looked at the time, a few minutes left, so she went to the dining table, opened the cake box. "After you make your wish, it'll go." I took the candles and lit them, clasped my hands together, spoke the wish in my heart. May Suyuti's wishes come true, forever be with the person she likes. Hearing me say this, Suyuti's cold eyes showed a smile. She couldn't help but ruffle my hair. "What did you wish for? Aren't we already together?" Looking at the smile in the corner of her eyes, I smiled too. Didn't explain anything, just reminded her it was almost time. Suyuti looked at the clock, only then waved at me, turned and walked toward the door. Seeing her about to close the door, I unconsciously called out, "Suyuti." Actually, Suyuti turned and looked at me. "What are you saying?" Seeing that face, the rest of my words were choked in my throat. "Nothing. Go ahead. Who be careful on the road." Suyuti didn't think much about it, nodded, turned and closed the door. Hearing the footsteps gradually receding, the lingering words on the tip of my tongue finally echoed in the empty room. "Suyuti, actually I am allergic to mangoes. Actually, today is the last day I'll be with you." The gentle words, like vapor quietly dissipating. When the wall clock showed 12 o'clock, I stood up, dumped all the food and cake on the table. Then I returned to the bedroom, took out the suitcase I had prepared in advance, took a brush pen, left a sentence on the calendar showing the number 0. "Suyuti, let's break up." Signed my name. The determination was set. The sound of the main door opening, then closing. I picked up my suitcase, left the apartment I had once considered home, not looking back. After leaving the hospital, Suyuti saw it was still early, so she planned to go home and take me out for a meal, to make up for her neglect of me recently. The room that usually had lights on was dark today. She looked at her wristwatch. 9:30 p.m. Sleeping so early? Or out and not back yet? Suyuti wasn't quite sure, but the house was very quiet. Didn't seem like anyone was there. She had been running around all day. Her whole body was covered in sweat, so she went straight to the bathroom. Half an hour later, she came out drying her wet hair. Still no sign of me. She frowned. In her impression, I had never come home late. Today, why still not back? She walked slowly to my bedroom door, gently pushed the half-closed door, then stood frozen in place. The wall that previously hung photos and drawings was now blank. The bed with its spread was empty. Suyuti couldn't believe what she was seeing, raised her hand to rub her eyes several times. The room remained empty. I had packed up my belongings and moved out. As soon as this thought appeared, Suyuti immediately panicked, hurriedly ran out of the bedroom, checked all the rooms. The bookshelf in the study was half empty. The bathroom only had her things left. The quilt and stuffed animals in the living room had all disappeared. The cups I bought in the kitchen were also gone. Each time she found a missing item, Su Yudi's heart sank further into darkness. When she clearly realized that in this apartment, there was no longer any trace of me, she felt like she had been hit on the head with a stick. Her head buzzed, her face full of disbelief. Her breathing also became extremely rushed. Her hands gripped the edge of the table with all her strength. Green veins popped on the back of her hands. Her panicked, soulless eyes looked around, finally stopping at the calendar showing 0 inches front of her. More glaring than that number 0 was a line written in black brush pen. Her eyesight was very good. One look and she saw the sentence on it. "Let's break up." She tremblingly grabbed the calendar and held it before her eyes. The 2 words "break up," like 2 heavy stones smashing into her eye sockets, making the bottom of her eyes turn red in an instant. I wanted to break up with her. This thought just flashed in her mind, immediately made Su Yudi lose control of her emotions. She grabbed her phone, flipped to my number, and called immediately. After the extended beep, beep sound, came the notification that the phone was turned off. This unconnectable call was like a bucket of cold water dumped on Su Yudi's head. She frantically put on her coat, wearing slippers, hurriedly left home, stopped a car, and rushed to the school. Before curfew, she arrived at the men's dormitory, stopped a male student, asked him to go to room 508. "Tell me to come down." A minute later, the tightly closed dormitory door opened. Su Yudi's heart trembled, but the person who stepped out disappointed her completely. It wasn't me but my roommate Lin Zhang. Seeing the normally lofty campus beauty now disheveled, in a frantic state, Lin Zhang also felt very surprised. "Su Yudi, why are you here? Where is Zhuang Xiang? Tell him to come down here." 2 sentences blurted out at once. Hearing clearly what she said, Lin Zhang became even more surprised. "Zhuang Xiang isn't in the dormitory. I remember he had a flight today. Don't you know?" Hearing the 2 words flight, Su Yudi turned without thinking. When I was determined to give up everything, to go abroad, the girlfriend who once said she would spend her life with me was completely unaware, because, at that time, she was getting intimate with her childhood sweetheart who had just returned. Looking at the wall clock showing 1 a.m., I silently decided in my heart I would leave Su Yudi, leave her forever. On the way to the airport, she called me again. The moment the phone connected, her heart was falling straight in the darkness, finally stopped, replaced by a rolling anger. After more than 10 hours of long journey, I landed in Paris. The Zhuang parents were waiting at the exit. As soon as they saw my figure, they happily waved. Zhuang Xiang hasn't seen his parents for half a year. My sad mood immediately improved a lot. I jogged over to hug my parents. "How long have you been waiting?" Father Zhuang took the luggage. Mother Zhuang hugged me to her heart, kissed my cheek, in her voice, full of joy. "More than an hour. Not long, not tired. Instead, you've been on the plane so long. Must have been quite suffering, right? No matter how old. Just being in mother's arms. I still felt like a child. Couldn't help wanting to be spoiled. Yes. I am dying of exhaustion. Mom has to cook many delicious dishes to compensate my wounded heart." Mother Zhuang patted my shoulder, her eyes full of indulgence. "Little glutton, whatever you want to eat, just order. Mom will cook everything for you." The family of 3 returned home happily. Father Zhuang had just put down the luggage and already crawled into the kitchen to prepare food. Mother Zhuang pulled me into the bedroom, looking at the room bathed in sunlight, with complete furniture and bedding. I threw down my suitcase and dove onto the bed. The bed is so soft. Mom still understands me best. "You're tired? Rest for a while. Mom will call you when the meal is ready." I kept nodding, watching Mom leave the room, raised my hand and stretched to relax, smelled the sunshine on the quilt. My tense nerves gradually relaxed. My heavy eyelids closed. After preparing the food, Father Zhuang came in, saw that I was already asleep, gently pulled the curtains to block out the dazzling sunlight. Just about to leave, my phone placed on the nightstand suddenly vibrated. Father Zhuang, afraid of waking me up, hurriedly took the phone and went out, casually closed the door. After escaping to the kitchen, discovering the phone was still ringing non-stop, only then looked down at the screen, saw the 3 words Su Yudi. His eyes immediately turned serious, raised his hand to touch Mother Zhuang, gesturing for her to look. Mother Zhuang glanced, immediately put down the spatula, her face also showing an indescribable expression. The couple stared at each other, looking at each other for a kaibi long time. Father Zhuang finally pressed the answer button. Through the phone came Su Yudi's angry voice. "Zhuang Zhang, what do you mean?" Hearing this tone, the 2 looked at each other, tacitly not answering. Su Yudi waited but heard no response, growing angrier. "Where'd you go?" "Send me the address. Let's meet and talk." The kitchen was silent again for a few seconds. Mother Zhuang finally replied, "Probably can't talk now. Zhuang Xiang has arrived in France. Wait until he wakes up and contact him later." After speaking, Mother Zhuang directly hung up, picked up the spatula again, seeing that she still had the mood to cook. Father Zhuang immediately got angry. "Who is this girl? Why is she talking to Zhuang Xiang in that tone? Why aren't you worried at all?" "Still cooking?" Mother Zhuang glanced at him, raised her hand and shushed him twice. "Our son has returned to us. What else is there to worry about? Why are you making so much noise? He don't wake him up. No matter how big the issue is, we have to wait until he has eaten before asking." Father Zhuang thought carefully, felt his wife made a lot of sense, so he put the phone in his pocket, helped clean up the kitchen trash. A moment later, Several dishes were laid on the table. Mother Zhuang went in to wake me up. I opened my eyes. My hand unconsciously reached towards the nightstand, but felt nothing. I drowsily looked toward Mother Zhuang with a sleepy voice. Mom, where's my phone? My heart skipped a beat. Suddenly turned and glared at Father Zhuang. Father Zhuang rubbed his nose, smiled and walked in, handed the phone to me. Here. I still hadn't reacted. Just took the phone to check the time. Both parents leaned their heads in. Zhuangxiang, who is Su Yudi? Hearing my parents ask this question, I froze. For at least 10 seconds. My hand awkwardly scratched my head, stuttering, unable to speak properly. When I was a freshman in university, the Zhuang parents emigrated abroad. Originally wanted to take me along, but I liked Su Yudi. Absolutely wouldn't leave. Resolutely stayed in the country to finish university. Although the Zhuang parents didn't object to me dating early. But anyway, I was the one who pursued first. So I still didn't dare tell my parents the reason. Later, even though Su Yudi and I were together, but I knew my parents loved to gossip. Didn't want to be interrogated by them. So I had to keep my mouth shut. Kept it hidden for 3 years. My parents always reminded me to go abroad. I kept finding excuses to cover up. Even when about to graduate, still hadn't agreed. My parents were extremely anxious. Both had begun to suspect I was dating. I was just deciding whether to tell the truth or not. When I accidentally found on Su Yudi's computer pictures of Gu Shengchen, the months that followed were perhaps the most miserable time in my 21 years of smooth sailing. My parents were also college sweethearts, from school uniforms to wedding dresses. For years, they still loved each other, as at the beginning. In contrast to my parents' relationship, my 3-year romance turned out to be just a one-sided infatuation, truly too tragic and pitiful. So I decided to hide it completely. Unexpectedly, on my first day in Paris, it was exposed. Mother Zhuang saw my silence, raised her hand to elbow Father Zhuang, smiled and stroked my hair. Don't mind your father. Get up and eat. At the dining table, the 3 family members all lowered their heads and picked at the food, without a sound, watching my parents trying to hide their awkwardness. 700 or 800 thoughts flashed through my mind. Finally, I spoke. Mom, Dad, Su Yudi is my ex-girlfriend. We dated for 2 years. Just broke up recently. I told a half-truth, half-lie. The couple had already guessed. Looked at each other again. Father Zhuang continued. Dad didn't like the girl's tone. Honestly, she isn't worthy of Dad's precious son. Breaking up is good. Seeing my parents' comforting expressions, hiding their concern, I hurriedly smiled. Dad is right. Anyway, about to graduate, each going our own way. Breaking up is also good. Won't hinder my studies. Hearing me say this, Mother Zhuang patted my shoulder, gave a thumbs up, worthy of being mother's son, ambitious and capable. The dinner finally returned to cheerful conversation. I finished eating and went back to my room, glanced at the call history. So it was Su Yudi who had called. No wonder both parents knew. Father had said her attitude wasn't good. Then she must have seen the paper I left. Angry, huh? Anyway, she's the campus beauty of Hua University. Always the one rejecting others. This time being actively broken up with by someone else. Hard not to be angry, but at most she'd only be angry for a day or two. After all, she didn't care about me. Wait until she calms down and thinks it through. Breaking up is a very good outcome. She gets her freedom. I can pursue my heart to be with Gu Xingchen. People with love will eventually become family. It's truly a good ending. As for us, perhaps we'll never meet again in this life. Thinking of this, I sighed softly, extended my finger, paused for a moment on Su Yudi's phone number, then resolutely pressed delete. With Mother Zhuang's help, I only took an hour to arrange my new home. I was unbearably tired. Just after showering, I laid my head down and fell asleep. When I woke up, again, outside the window, night had fallen. I picked up my phone to check the time. 2 a.m. This sleep lasted more than 10 hours. Truly unbelievable. I hugged the quilt and sat up, turned on the light, looking at this completely unfamiliar room still in a daze. It took me a few minutes to realize I was in Paris. Remembering my parents sleeping in the next room, the uncomfortable feeling gradually dissipated. The phone in my hand suddenly vibrated, startling me. I unlocked it and swiped the screen. When I saw the familiar number sequence, my still dreamy eyes stopped. Although I had deleted the name, I knew this number by heart. Why was Su Yudi calling? Could it be she couldn't swallow this anger? Must definitely scold me before she's satisfied? I blinked my eyes, trying to drive away the remaining sleepiness, then reluctantly pressed answer, taking the initiative to explain first. Sue. Yudi, over this time. I've thought for a long while. I feel we're not compatible as lovers. So I propose breaking up. Anyway, the person you like isn't me. Let's just part ways nicely. No need to contact each other in the future, I said in one breath. The phone was silent with no reply, only increasingly heavy breathing. 2 minutes later, Su Yudi finally used a tired, hoarse voice to ask me one question. You propose breaking up without reason, finally using not compatible to drive me away. Do you think that's polite? Not polite how? I thought carefully. Didn't see where I was wrong at all. But with my attitude toward problem solving, I very politely answered her. Then what do you want? Meet face to face to talk directly. Hearing her make this request, I was stunned, refused her. I am not in the capital, can't meet. Before I finished speaking, Su Yudi interrupted me. I know. You just arrived in Paris. Send me your address. I'll come meet you to talk about breaking up, that's all. I was shocked by this statement, my voice extremely slow, carrying deep suspicion. How do you know I am in Paris? You don't need to worry about that. You just need to go out and find a cafe. Then send me the address. Wait for me to come meet you and talk about breaking up, that's all. After speaking, she didn't forget to add one more sentence. If you don't clearly explain why you want to break up, I won't leave Paris. A second later, the phone was hung up. Then WeChat showed Su Yudi's chat window. It was the address of Beauvais Airport, and a short, clear sentence. Send me the address. I couldn't have imagined she would fly to Paris after me. I didn't want to go on this trip. Breaking up is breaking up. I believed I had nothing to feel guilty about. No need to talk anymore. So I directly switched my phone to silent mode, casually threw it aside, pulled the covers over my head, and went back to sleep. This sleep lasted more than 2 hours. Mother Zhuang finished preparing breakfast before waking me up. After eating, the family of 3 went to the supermarket for a round, bought all the necessary daily supplies, then strolled in a nearby park, only returning home at noon. Turning my phone back on, I saw nearly 100 calls, many WeChat messages. I was silent. The next second, a new message was sent. At first, clearly you were pursuing me. Why don't you want me anymore now? Zhuangxiang, how can you be so cruel? After learning I had arrived in France, Su Yudi didn't think at all. Directly booked the nearest flight to Paris. During the more than 10 hours on the plane, her mind was in turmoil, continuously recalling what had happened over the years. In her heart, Ji Xingchen had always been the only one. So even though he went abroad, she still wouldn't let him go. Always regretted not saying those words of affection. Couldn't let go, yet couldn't confess. Could only endure the pain of unrequited love day after day. People around advised her to think more openly. Try dating a bit. Maybe she would get over it. Under the continuous persuasion of friends, Su Yudi also wavered, decided to try once. So, when I confessed for the 23rd time, she agreed to be my girlfriend, and the reason she chose me, I was only because I was too enthusiastic, too persistent, too fond of her. She saw in me the shadow of herself pursuing Yu Xinchen. So this relationship, at first, was just self-pity. Su Yudi didn't like me at all. I knew this. She knew too. But the two of us tacitly avoided this issue, being lovers for 3 years, the first 2 years, although occasionally dating like normal couples. Su Yudi never took me to heart until the beginning of the 4th year of university, for convenience of discussion between us, when we moved out to live together. The relationship only then made substantial progress, living together day and night. She was also attracted to me, started to try accepting my feelings, accepting this relationship, until Zhu Jingchen returned home. Her heart that was about to settle began to waver again. On one side was her childhood sweetheart Shed, known for more than 10 years. On the other was her boyfriend of 3 years. She very much wanted to force herself to make a decision, but still couldn't be determined. The preferential feelings had formed long ago, making her unable to ignore Ji Yu Xingchen existence, while I, wholeheartedly dedicated without demands, became her self-chosen retreat path. In countless times of running toward Gu Xingchen, Su Yudi thought she hid it very well, so became increasingly unrestrained until I left the breakup note. Moved out, she first realized the situation had escaped her control. First realized that for her, I was irreplaceable, so she didn't care about anything else. Left everything behind to fly here, just to hold on to me. But I used an attitude of rejection, told her clearly, we have no more possibility. Su Yudi couldn't accept this outcome, like a mad woman wanting to contact me, inquiring everywhere for news of me, but harvested nothing. Looking at the empty chat window opposite, a feeling of profound helplessness gradually rose in her heart. She couldn't understand at all why I suddenly proposed breaking up, then left. She insisted on having a reason for no longer being loved. After a long and difficult wait, finally, I replied to her, sent her an address. She didn't pause for a paytas. Second, rushed there hurriedly. Then at the door of a cafe, Su Yudi met me. The moment she saw my figure, she rushed over intending to hug me, but I avoided and pushed her away. I raised my cold face, emotionlessly reminded her we had broken up. It's best to keep a distance between us. The two sat down in a corner. My eyes stopped on the tablecloth, waiting for the opposite side to speak. Su Yudi's eyes stared intently at me, taking in all my movements. I was afraid I would disappear again. After the server brought coffee, I took a sip, then raised my head to look at her. With a calm tone, say what you want to say. Su Yudi's hands placed under the table, unconsciously contracted, trying to control the emotions on her face. Why break up? Did I do something wrong? Hearing her ask these two questions, in my eyes flashed a hint of helplessness. When there's no more affection, we break up. And isn't that very normal? Hearing my answer, Su Yudi's heart constricted, immediately became panicked. You're lying. I noticed her panic, initially a bit surprised, but thinking of her confident tone at the haunted house door, found it a bit amusing. I never lie. Like is like. Dislike is dislike. I am faithful to my heart, not like you. The first sentence made Su Yudi more panicked. The last sentence threw her into confusion. Not like me? Even until today, she still hadn't clearly seen her own heart. Looking at her vague expression, I suddenly felt she was pitiful. I met her gaze, my tone only containing calmness. Not like you who's always a coward, not daring to face your own feelings. Clearly liking Gu Xingchen, yet not daring to confess. On one hand, using me as a tool to forget. On the other hand, immersed in the past, unwilling to let go. With each sentence, I said, Su Yudi's face grew paler, each word and sentence poking at her most painful spot, making her no longer have the courage to look at me. I didn't care what she was thinking at this moment, just wanted to speak out all the words choked in my heart, to feel relieved. I know you don't like me. I've always known. I thought as long as I tried hard enough, I could move you, but when Zhu Xingqian returned, I realized, love isn't obtained through effort. Dislike is dislike. Whether 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years would also be in vain. I am tired. No more strength to hold on to a hopeless love, to continue going on. So I decided to break up. Perhaps because all along, I had put too much enthusiasm into this relationship, creating an illusion for you that I can't be without you. Can't leave you. You can't accept the breakup, simply because you can't accept the result of being abandoned by a passionate pursuer. The reason you flew here after me is just a momentary impulse. Once you calm down, you will realize breaking up, whether for me or you, or for Zhu Xingqian, is the best outcome, rather than wasting time and energy on an ex-boyfriend. Why not take a chance and confess to Zhu Xingqian? People must ultimately move forward. Isn't that right? After hearing this long explanation, Su Yudi stood frozen in place. In this relationship, she had never cared what I thought, even less thought about the future. In her world, everything was crossing the bridge when she came to it. She and I didn't actively fight for anything. Even with Zhu Xingqian, she also just kept silent, accepted the outcome of just being friends, but only with me. Su Yudi couldn't accept the result of breaking up. Even though now I had explained everything clearly and thoroughly, she still didn't want to break up. Is this ultimately unwillingness or love for you? Can't distinguish clearly. Su Yudi was silent for a long time. I didn't say anything either. After drinking all the coffee in the cup, picked up my bag and stood up, immersed in her own world. Su Yudi saw my movement, immediately stood up too, raised her hand to grab mine. Zhuangxiang. I patiently waited for her for a minute, but she couldn't say anything. I also became a bit impatient, raised my left hand, finger by finger removed her hand. Because I've liked you for 4 years. Please let me go. My pleading voice made Su Yudi's heart tremble, looking at me in panic, face full of confusion. I am sorry, Zhuangxiang. All these years I haven't done well, not shouldering the responsibilities of a girlfriend. Can you give me another chance? I stared at her. In my eyes flashed a hint of mockery. You don't like me, even with 100 more chances, we still won't have any result. Let's end it here. After speaking, I walked quickly toward the door, not looking back. Seeing my resolute back, Su Yudi felt the strength of her whole body gradually being drained. She collapsed into the chair, her eyes losing focus. In her ears echoed the words I had just said. In her head, she couldn't help but recall the 3 years of love between us. She rarely replied to my messages, rarely took the initiative to share daily life with me, rarely went out on dates with me. She had never cared about my feelings, never noticed my changes, never expressed feelings in front of me. I was in such a love without reciprocation, persisting for 3 years, but Su Yudi never realized. Instead, she entangled with Zhu Xingqian in front of me, making all kinds of intimate gestures, consuming and wasting my feelings without hesitation, like this. What right did she have to hold on to me? The intense and warm afternoon sunlight shone on me warmly and gently. After saying all that was on my mind, I felt my steps much lighter. Everything looked joyful. The fountain in the square reflected a rainbow under the sunlight. I took my phone from my pocket intending to take a souvenir photo, but discovered WeChat suddenly had many new messages. Opening it, they were all question marks from classmates, asking what happened between Su Yudi and me. The more I read, the more my head hurt, not knowing how to answer. Anyway, this matter still involved Zhu Xingqian. I didn't want to drag him in, so I had to carefully choose my words. I thought while walking, finally felt that no matter how I phrased it, it wouldn't be good. So I directly posted on WeChat, using the rainbow photo I just took as an illustration. Thank you all for your concern. Peaceful breakup. Simply just about 10 characters, but it was like a tornado, sweeping across all social media platforms of Hua University. Campus beauty returns to single life. Su Yudi finally kicked Zhuangxiang. Seeing the exaggerated discussion images my roommates sent, I felt both annoyed and amused. Couldn't help asking in the dormitory chat group, am I that bad? Why does everyone say Su Yudi is liberated? My roommates quickly sent comforting words. They're just blinded by the campus beauty's halo. Completely don't understand your goodness. Right. Girls with some looks. Don't be sad. We'll find someone more beautiful. Lin Zhang is right. Not worth being heartbroken over such a heartless, useless woman. Zhuangxiang, hang in there. So everyone thinks I am very sad. I couldn't help but laugh. Immediately typed a sentence to clear my name. I am not sad at all, because I am the one who dumped Su Yudi. The next second, countless question marks and exclamation points filled the screen. A minute later, the news that the campus beauty was dumped by her boyfriend had spread. I became famous from there, after seeing my breakup announcement. Zhu Xingqian immediately called Su Yudi, wanting to confirm, but she seemed to have vanished from the world. No response whatsoever. This situation had never happened before. He couldn't help but worry. Sent several more messages. 7 or 8 hours passed. Still no response. Zhu Xingqian couldn't wait anymore, so tentatively sent me a surprised expression. Are you and Yudi really broken up? Why? A minute later, I replied to the message. I am studying abroad in France. Long-distance love is too tiring. I don't want to continue, so we broke up. Seeing these sentences, the corners of Gu Xingshen's mouth spread into a radiant smile, his eyes welling up with joy. Now that he knew we had broken up, Su Yudi would obediently stay by his side in the future. He also no longer needed to find ways to separate us. Although thinking this way inside, the messages he sent were full of regret. Actually, I really hoped you two could go all the way. Breaking up is such a pity, but I also understand your mood. After all, Yudi's personality is really difficult to live with, except for childhood friends like us. She can't get close to anyone. These years have been tough. Wish you smooth studies abroad. Faced with this sarcastic message, I simply replied with a thank you. Giu Jingshen also didn't want to waste time on someone who had already lost, took his phone to Su Yudi's home to find her, but was disappointed. Looking at the tightly closed door, his eyebrows furrowed. Where on earth had Su Yudi gone? He was eager to see her, so directly booked a room at a nearby tea house to waiting for more than 10 hours. He took a nap. Only the next morning did he see Su Yudi's figure. He hurriedly went downstairs to follow. Finally caught her at the house door. Yudi, where did you go? Why didn't you reply to messages or answer phone calls? Faced with this complaining and pouting, Su Yudi was exhausted, no longer had the strength to respond, had something to do. After this brief reply, she turned to enter the house. Zhu Jingshen was very dissatisfied with this answer, pouted, his voice clearly angry. What matter is so important? Don't you care about me anymore? Su Yudi stopped in her tracks. Her head felt like it was about to explode. Her words weren't very gentle. I am very tired right now. Stop making trouble. In more than 10 years of knowing each other, Su Yudi had never used such a perfunctory and impatient attitude to speak with Gu Xingchen, and he had been spoiled since childhood, then grew up to suffer waiting for her all night, his heart full of resentment. How could he swallow this anger? Immediately made a bigger scene. I was worried about you, and you say I am making trouble. Yudi, how have you become like this? I've always been like this, cold and unfeeling. After saying this sentence, Su Yudi directly slammed the door shut. Bang! A loud sound startled Gu Xingchen. His tears fell. He bit his lip looking at the tightly closed door, his face full of resentment, stamped his foot. Within 48 hours, Su Yudi hadn't had a complete sleep, flying back and forth to Paris 3 times. So as soon as she got home and touched the bed, she fell into a deep sleep. This sleep lasted a day and a night. Finally, a strong feeling of hunger awakened her from her dream. She drowsily stood up, leaned against the wall, and habitually walked to my bedroom door, pushed the door and called out Zhuangxiang several times, but received no response, until her blurry eyes recovered their vision, could clearly see the empty room. She immediately stood frozen like a statue. A cold current ran from the soles of her feet straight to her heart. She lowered her eyes, hiding the sadness and loss in their depths, but couldn't control her body's incessant trembling. She had forgotten that Zhuangxiang was no longer here. We had already broken up. After the incident of Su Yudi being dumped, the news that she got drunk late at night once again became the talk of Hua University. No one expected this pampered girl, the famous figure on campus, would be hurt by love, and when my roommates sent me this news, my first reaction was that it was a false rumor, made up. It's just a breakup. How could Su Yudi be heartbroken over me? Until Lin Zheng sent several high-resolution candid photos. Looking at the drunk person collapsed among the wine bottles, I was silent. My roommates kept sending messages asking, Zhuangxiang, didn't you say your relationship wasn't that deep? Why is she so heartbroken? How would I know? I propped my hand and thought for half a day, finally made a wild guess. Perhaps she just confessed to Gu Xingchen and was rejected. Otherwise, I really couldn't think why she would be so sad. At the same time, another recipient of these wildly circulating photos was Go Xingchen. Several friends asked him, had he argued with Su Yudi, that she looked so haggard. Seeing these photos, Jiu Jingshen, after a day of anger, finally calmed down. He recalled that Su Yudi had looked very tired the day before. Her slightly harsh tone was understandable. Moreover, his attitude wasn't very good either. In a heated moment, he said some things to her. No wonder she went drinking. After all, having known each other for more than 10 years, he also knew she was someone who kept everything inside, so he thought about finding her, to give her an outlet. When he got the address and hurriedly arrived, Su Yudi was still drinking glass after glass. Friends beside her tried to persuade her, but she didn't hear a word, bowed her head and poured wine. Seeing him arrive, people in the room saw him as a savior, hurriedly welcomed him in. Zhu Xingchen, why are you only arriving now? Quick, come persuade Yudi, don't drink anymore. If she continues, I am afraid she'll have to go to the hospital. Seeing everyone's concern, Zhu Xingchen looked embarrassed. Oh no, why don't you just take her away directly? How can I persuade her? She won't listen to me. Why are you being so modest? In our group of friends, who doesn't know Yudi listens to you the most? When have you said something she didn't listen to? Under everyone's flattery, Jiu Xingchen also felt a bit complacent, timidly stepped to Su Yudi's side, held her wine bottle. Don't drink anymore. Yudi, come home with me. Su Yudi raised her dreamy eyes to look at him. With emotion, pushed his hand away. Don't interfere. Zhu Jingshen's expression immediately froze. People nearby hearing this, looked at each other, hurriedly stepped up to mediate. Yudi, this is Gu Xingchen. You won't go home with him? Zhu Xingchen also thought she didn't recognize him, so grabbed her hand again. Su Yudi rudely pushed his hand away again, her voice full of annoyance. I know you're Jiu Xingshan. Don't touch me. I won't go with you. Jiu Xingshan clenched his hand, his expression becoming extremely unpleasant, and Su Yudi's next sentence directly brought the atmosphere in the room down to freezing point. Call Zhuangjiang. I want him to come pick me up. Hearing this name, the female friends all took a cold breath. Zhuangjiang, didn't you two break up already? Could it be she's drinking today because of me? Not because of Gu Xingshan? As soon as this thought appeared, people didn't dare look at his face anymore, being made to lose face in public by Su Yudi 3 times. Zhu Xingshan was full of anger, then hearing my name from her lips, his emotions were immediately triggered. You've already broken up with Zhuangjiang. Su Yudi buried her head among the wine bottles, her voice full of bitterness. Yes, we broke up. I went to Paris to hold on to him, but it was useless. Zhuangjiang doesn't need me anymore. Doesn't need me anymore. Hearing her continuous mumbling, in Jiu Xingshan's head sounded an explosion, his face full of disbelief. The time she disappeared was to find me to reconcile. These days, she's been so haggard and negative, also because of breaking up with me. Zhu Xingshan couldn't accept this news, took a glass of wine and splashed it in her face, his voice somewhat manic. Su Yudi, what do you mean? You like Zhuangjiang now? The cold wine made Su Yudi much more sober. She raised her head and looked around, her voice slowly repeating Gu Jingchen's sentence. It took 5 minutes to understand the implication of this sentence. Do I like him? This question rotated countless times in her head. Finally, she got a definite answer. I do like him. Otherwise, when hearing about the breakup, how could my heart hurt so much? The prolonged silence made those in the room feel awkward, not understanding why everything suddenly had such a big turn. Su Yudi suddenly spoke, word by word, sentence by sentence, her tone determined. Yes, I like Zhuangjiang now. Jiu Xingchen, after hearing this sentence, completely lost control, stepped forward and slapped her. Are you crazy? What good points does he have that make you miss him so much? This slap completely awakened Su Yudi. She shook her head, closed her eyes tightly. We were together for 3 years. He's good in every way. It's me who wasn't good. Disappointed him. But you've already broken up. Jiu Xingchen shouted this sentence. Su Yudi's expression became more disappointed. Yes, we broke up, but I don't want to leave him. Tomorrow I'll fly to Paris to win him back. Everyone in the room opened their mouths, eyes wide, completely disbelieving. This sentence came from her mouth. As for Gu Xingchen, this sentence completely collapsed his psychological defense. Back then, everyone said Su Yudi liked him to the point of madness. But in the 4 years he was abroad, she didn't come to find him once. The result is I've only been gone for less than a week. She's already flown there once. After being rejected, still wants to chase after me. She can do this much for an ex-boyfriend. What is he then? The room was completely silent. Not even breathing could be heard. At this moment, silence was more than sound. Jiu Qinshen felt he had lost all face, gave her a hateful and unwilling look, directly turned and ran out of the room. The girls in the room stared at each other with round eyes. Finally, all simultaneously shifted their gaze to Su Yudi. Yudi, do you really want to go study in France? Su Yudi nodded, opened a new bottle of wine and poured. If Zhuangjiang doesn't agree to get back together, what will you do? Su Yudi's voice carried an inexplicable determination. I won't give up, as long as he's willing to forgive me. No matter how long it takes, I can wait. The sisters were silent for a long time before speaking. What about Jiu Xingchen then? Don't you like him anymore? Su Yudi had clearly analyzed her feelings. She hesitated a little, but still told her friends her true feelings. Before, I really liked Gu Xingchen very much. But after years of being with Zhuangjiang, actually, I had gradually let go of my feelings for him. I just didn't dare admit it. Now I just see him as family. As he said, let our feelings stop at friendship. I want to move toward a new future. Hearing her say this, everyone in the room sighed. After all, the two had been ambiguous for so long. In the end, couldn't be together. Everyone felt a bit regretful. But since Su Yudi had made her choice, they of course unconditionally supported her. One by one, they stepped forward to pat her shoulder, under everyone's encouragement. Her heart that had fallen to the bottom of the abyss finally began to calm down. After drinking the last drop of wine in her glass, she stood up and left, each step resolute and determined. There are still a few months before the semester begins. I had nothing to do, so I found an advertising company for an internship. I study graphic design, and this major at Howard University is also quite influential internationally. So although it was just an internship, I was cared for by colleagues and superiors. The only problem was, this company was quite far from home. Commuting took too much time. The Zhuang parents worried I wouldn't rest well, so they rented a small room near the company, requiring me to only come home on weekends, although I was attached to home. After 4 years of college, I had matured quite a bit, so I quickly adapted to life in Paris. 8 a.m. I wore my work bag, yawning as I left home for work. Suddenly, noticed the opposite apartment for rent had someone move in. Driven by curiosity, I wanted to go see the neighbor, but the elevator just happened to open, so I gave up this idea. Just as the elevator door closed, a slightly familiar voice reached my ears, a standard and fluent London accent. The tone, very similar to Su Yudi's, made me freeze. Wasn't she drunk back in the country? Surely she wouldn't appear here. Perhaps I just misheard. I shook my head. tossing this unrealistic thought to the back of my mind, gathering my spirits to go to the company. The work assigned during the internship wasn't much, but I am a perfectionist, wholeheartedly invested in the work, to the point of forgetting time. Finally, the colleague sitting at the desk on the right reminded me. Only then did I realize it was time to leave work. Today happened to be Friday. I planned to go back to get some things, then go home for dinner. After returning to the apartment, I glanced at the tightly closed door opposite before entering my room. Casually picked up the bag placed in the hallway, then went back out. The elevator going up just happened to stop at the 21st floor. I moved to one side. The elevator door just opened. This woman stepped out. I lowered my head intending to enter the elevator, but that figure still blocked the elevator door without moving. I wanted to see who was so inconsiderate. When I raised my head and saw Su Yudi's face, my eyebrows furrowed into a cluster. "Good evening. Why are you here?" Her casual greeting tone made me realize she must already know my address, and her answer was also within my prediction. "I live in apartment 2104. Isn't that the one that just moved in this morning?" My expression became increasingly confused. "Why did you come to Paris? Why are you living opposite me? Don't tell me this is a coincidence." Seeing I didn't look happy, Su Yudi, who had intended to surprise me, had a flash of disappointment in her eyes. "There's no wall in the world that doesn't let through the wind. Zhuang, Xiang, as long as you have the heart, you can know anything." I don't know why, when hearing this sentence, the hair on my body stood up. My face grew colder. "I don't care whether you have heart or not. I just want to tell you, we've already broken up. You can stay wherever you want. Just don't disturb my life." Seeing my expression getting worse, Su Yudi also panicked a little, hurriedly explained, "I don't have any other intentions. I just want to be close to you. Just to see you every day is enough. Don't worry, I absolutely won't bother you." Although she spoke very sincerely, I completely didn't want to chat with her. Turned and stepped into the adjacent elevator that had just come down before coming to Paris. Su Yudi had predicted my attitude toward her would be very cold, but after meeting, my attitude toward her wasn't just cold, but also had a hint of rejection, directly wiping away the little joy of reunion in her heart. Watching the elevator go down to the first floor, she turned back to her new home. The house was empty, nothing there, looked very desolate. Su Yudi put down the pile of things she had just bought, sat on the sofa looking around. In her heart rose a slight sadness. Couldn't help but remember the time living with me. Back then, when the two of us had just moved to the apartment, except for a few pieces of furniture, there was nothing else. It was me who busily bought many pieces of furniture, daily necessities, decorations. One by one filled the room, turned the rented house into a cozy home. Too bad she didn't know to cherish it back. Then, overlooked all that I had worked hard to provide, until the person left and the house emptied. She finally awakened, but my heart had completely cooled. Was there still a chance to hold on to me? She didn't know. She only knew she would be like me before, give everything for this relationship. This time it was Su Yudi's turn to pursue me, knowing I would return. Mother Zhuang had prepared a table of delicious food waiting for me, but as soon as the door opened, seeing my unhappy expression, both husband and wife were a bit surprised, hurriedly welcomed me. "Zhuang Xiang, what's wrong? Is work not going well? Or is the stay not comfortable?" On the way home, I had been troubled about Su Yudi moving in. Seeing my parents starting to worry, I hurriedly forced a smile. "It's nothing. Just now leaving the elevator, someone stepped on my foot." Indeed, their own son. The couple, seeing my forced smile, knew it wasn't true, but the two had always respected giving their son space since he was young, so didn't ask further. Urged me to wash my hands and eat. The result was that before this table full of rich food, I was still a bit distracted. The ribs had been gnawed clean of meat, but were still held in my mouth. Seeing my abnormal state, Father Zhuang hurriedly signaled Mother Zhuang with his eyes. The latter responded with perfect understanding. Gently opened the conversation. "Zhuang Xiang, you've just arrived in Paris not long ago. It's normal to have some unfamiliar places. How about sharing your worries with your parents? We can think of a solution together. Give some advice. Okay?" Seeing my parents' concerned eyes, my gloomy mood had already lessened considerably. I picked up my fruit juice glass, took a sip, hesitated for a moment, then told them about this matter. Just after work, I met Su Yudi at the apartment door. That's my ex-girlfriend. Hearing this, Father Zhuang's eyebrows immediately furrowed. Suddenly slammed the table. "Is this girl a stalker? Already broken up, still clinging to you? After dinner? I must definitely teach her a lesson." This sentence startled my mother. I hurriedly placed my hand on Father. "She's not following me. It's just that I wasn't happy to see her appear. Still don't know why she moved near where I live." "Father, calm down a bit." Mother Zhuang, beside, always paid attention to my expressions, suddenly asked a very important question. "Why did you and she break up?" One question made me silent again. My mind was spinning. Finally, I still vaguely clarified the reason. "She has a male friend she grew up with since childhood, and she's very close to him. I feel their relationship has exceeded normal friendship. Didn't want to waste any more time on her, so I proposed breaking up." The couple, after hearing this, both opened their eyes wide. Father Zhuang knocked on the table several times. "What male friend? Cross-gender friendship? How can there be pure friendship? This is clearly having two hearts. Cheating. Breaking up is right. Father supports you." Mother Zhuang also nodded in agreement. "Your father is right. As soon as she got involved with another boyfriend, no matter how good she is, you must resolutely break up. pull out early, avoid causing bigger problems later. That would be more painful. I know. So, after breaking up, I went to study abroad. It was to completely end this relationship. But this time, I don't know why she's chasing after me, so I am a bit worried. Father Zhuang was originally straightforward. As soon as he saw me frown, he became distressed. Advised me to call her directly. Mother Zhuang also thought it's better to ask clearly. Rather than worrying by myself under my parents' encouragement, I picked up my phone, called the number that was just a sequence of digits now. In less than 3 seconds, the phone was answered. From the phone came Su Yudi's joyful voice. Zhuang Xiang talking to his ex-girlfriend in front of his parents. I was so nervous that my palms were sweating, but under their encouraging eyes, I still gathered all my courage to ask. This call has no other purpose. Just want to ask why you suddenly came to Paris. I don't you like Do Xingchen? Su Yudi thought for a very long time before answering this question of mine. I did like him before, but that's all in the past now. After being with you, I gradually came to like you, only see him as a friend. Hearing the 2 words, friends, in my brain, appeared the scene of kissing in the haunted house. Do cross-gender friends kiss each other? If the corner of my mouth couldn't help but reveal a mocking smile. If Ji Xingchen hadn't returned to the country, perhaps until now I would still be immersed in my own world, thinking your love was that coldness and restraint. You say you like me, but I never felt your love. Only saw your care and protection for Gu Xingchen. If your feelings for him are just friendship, then toward me, it's probably not even as good as friendship. Su Yudi, stop deceiving yourself. The person you like has never been me. Hearing me say these words, the Zhuang parents looked at each other. Both saw the surprise and heartache in each other's eyes. Just from these few scattered words, the couple could guess. In this relationship, the hurt I received was much deeper than I had described. On the other end of the line, Su Yudi was speechless. Couldn't say a word. I also didn't expect I would speak out all my thoughts. Turned my head to see my parents' expressions weren't good. Hurriedly expressed my attitude. On the day of the breakup, I had already thrown all my feelings for you into the trash. Who you like is no longer important to me. I just want to tell you, we may have had memories once, but absolutely no future. After saying these words, I didn't give her a chance to say more. Directly hung up the phone. Then I smiled as if a burden had been lifted, winked at my parents. Was my attitude just now cool? Does it resemble your style? The couple's eyelids were slightly red, hugged me tightly. Very cool. We really like your openness, but we also hope, in the future, if you encounter sad things, I don't keep them to yourself. Share with us. Okay? Hearing mother's choke voice, my eyes also welled with tears. Everything is over. Now I just consider her a stranger, not sad at all anymore. Don't worry. Seeing me so understanding, the couple became even more self-reproachful. It's all because we insisted on going abroad that year, leaving you alone to study in the country. If we had always been by your side, how could you have encountered such troublesome things? Hearing my parents mention old matters, I suddenly slapped my thighs hard twice, making a regretful face. Can't blame my parents. It was me who was blinded by beauty. Refused to follow you abroad. If I had listened to you earlier, that would have been good. Truly not listening to elders, lost right before my eyes, seeing my pretend experienced look. The Zhuang parents were made to laugh through their tears, pinched my cheek. Now you know your parents are good? In the future, you must listen more to these 2 old folks' opinions. No more being perfunctory. Yes, I obey father and mother. After this phone call, except for occasionally meeting in the hallway or elevator, I rarely ran into Su Yudi. On the contrary, each time she would step forward to greet me, I never responded, just pretended not to see and walked around, seeing me hurry to avoid her. Su Yudi's eyes were full of loneliness. Her mood would sink for a long while, but as soon as they met again next time, she would still greet me with a face full of smiles. Days passed peacefully without a ripple. Apart from this slightly annoying neighbor, my life was still going smoothly. The summer sun gradually faded. The internship time was also coming to an end. I had just completed the final work, while preparing for things related to the start of school, running around every day, that day after work. I thought autumn was coming soon, need to buy a few more jackets, so I went out alone to browse, selected several fitting sets. After paying, I intended to go through a small alley to catch a taxi home. I always wore headphones and a baseball cap on the street, completely immersed in my own world, not noticing 2 foreigners following behind. When deep into the alley, the 2 men with knives stopped me. I was startled to realize I seemed to be getting robbed. No one around, facing the cold, gleaming blade. I didn't dare say a word, obediently handed over everything in my hands and my wallet to them. The 2 tall robbers, after grabbing the things, ran outside. I was so scared that my whole body went limp, leaning against the wall panting. Suddenly, a figure ran past in front of me. I thought something else was happening. Hurriedly raised my head to observe the situation, but saw Su Yudi chasing after the 2 robbers. Catching up, she grabbed the shoulder of the slower robber, then snatched back the wallet. The robber cursed a few times and struggled with Su Yudi. His accomplice heard the commotion, hurriedly turned back to help. They fought in a pile. I remembered that knife, my heart still pounding, worried that blood would be spilled and something would happen. In panic, I quickly leaned over, shouting toward the alley, "Police!" The 2 robbers were indeed startled by my action, intending to flee, but Su Yudi still firmly held onto one of them without letting go. This robber was holding a knife. In his panic, he directly took the knife, stabbed straight into her stomach. Under the severe pain, Su Yudi finally let go. The two robbers kicked her once before escaping. Seeing her fall down, my heart constricted. I hurriedly ran over, seeing her clutching her stomach tightly, hands full of fresh blood. My mind went blank. Tremblingly took out my phone to call for emergency. Su Yudi bit her lip tightly, trying to open her tired eyes, raised her head to look at me, in her heart constantly telling herself not to sleep. Watching her face gradually turn pale, my heart felt like it would jump out of my chest, my eyes full of panic and worry, while continuously calling her name. I took from the bag the robbers had dropped the newly bought silk scarf and gave it to her. The time to stop the bleeding minute by minute, second by second, passed extremely slowly. Human will cannot fight against physiological reactions. Su Yudi lost too much blood, almost couldn't hold on anymore. Just as she was about to faint, outside the alley finally came the sound of an ambulance. I jumped up from the ground, ran toward the sound, waving while shouting loudly, so the medical staff could locate us. Looking at the shadow getting further and dimmer, Su Yudi heard the thumping heartbeat in her chest. The feeling of exhaustion spread throughout her body, making her struggle with her heavy eyelids. She smiled and closed her eyes. The knife wound Su Yudi suffered wasn't in a dangerous spot, combined with timely medical treatment, so it wasn't life-threatening. Hearing the news of safety, my tense nerves finally relaxed. After calling to report the situation to the Zhuang parents, I returned to the hospital room. Looking at Su Yudi still sleeping deeply, sighed with relief. On the table were the wallet and blood-stained bag. Looking at that bright red color, I couldn't help but recall the dangerous scene just now. When looking at the paper-white face on the hospital bed, my emotions suddenly became extremely complex. I finished work, bought things to go home, and got robbed. Why did Su Yudi appear nearby? Could it be she was always following me? Then why didn't I notice at all? I had struggled with this question for half an hour. Finally, the Zhuang parents arrived. After the family discussed, Mother Zhuang stayed at the hospital to care for the patient. Father Zhuang went with me to the police station. After completing the report, the two of us had just stepped outside when we received news that Su Yudi had woken up. Hurriedly returned together to the hospital. Mother Zhuang sat outside the hospital room, signaling me with her eyes, meaning for me to go in and visit. Father Zhuang also intended to go in, but was pulled back by Mother Zhuang. He could only watch as I entered the tiger's den alone, his eyebrows furrowed, patting his chest. After adjusting my mood, I pushed open the door as soon as my figure appeared. Su Yudi's eyes seemed glued to me, not blinking once. Facing that burning gaze, I was very uncomfortable, could only lower my eyes to look at the floor. Move to the front of the hospital bed and stand, very sincerely say a word of thanks. Seeing me standing for so long, Su Yudi worried I was about to leave, so she propped herself up to pull a chair closer, but carelessly disturbed her wound. Her whole face immediately wrinkled in pain. I was startled by her movement and expression, thought the wound had burst, turned around intending to call a nurse. Su Yudi hurriedly called me back with her hoarse voice. I am fine, just disturbed the wound. It just hurts a little. Hearing her voice was still calm, I hesitantly turned back, asked one more question. Really okay? Su Yudi nodded, lay back down on the bed, raised her hand pointing at the chair, gesturing for me to sit down. I very obediently sat down, instinctively looked at her stomach area. After confirming there was no bleeding, finally relaxed my heart. After experiencing this life and death danger, Su Yudi finally met. Me who didn't ignore her, immediately felt this knife wound seemed worth it. Couldn't help but smile, while thinking how to start the conversation. I looked up and saw that smile, then froze, my face showing an indescribable expression. You just came to death's door, and you can still smile? Su Yudi, of course, didn't tell me her true thoughts, gently explained. I am happy because you finally pay attention to me. Zhuangziang, these days you haven't looked at me once. I was very sad, so she smiled because of this small matter. I was a bit at a loss for words. They were carrying knives, just stealing a little money and clothes. Why did you have to chase after them? If this knife had been off by a bit, I'm afraid your life couldn't have been saved. My voice was full of worry, but to Su Yudi's ears it was all concern. The smile on her face became even more radiant. At that moment, somewhat forgetting who she was, speaking without restraint. Are you worried about me? I didn't expect her to misunderstand my meaning like this. My eyes showed astonishment. I am asking if you no longer value your life. Su Yudi looked at me without taking her eyes away. In her eyes was a gentle watery light, word by word, extremely determined. If it's for you, I can give up this life. I could never have imagined. Hearing such cheesy words from Su Yudi's mouth, if it were me a few months ago, I would certainly have been moved to tears. But now I only remained silent without words. Seeing me not saying anything, Su Yudi couldn't help but speak again. They didn't hurt you, right? It's my fault for arriving late. Were you scared? Hearing this sentence, I recalled the issue before going to the police station. Still troubled, my gaze toward her gradually became strange. Why were you following? Behind me? Surely it wasn't a coincidence? Su Yudi completely didn't expect I would ask this. Her mind immediately froze, not knowing how to answer. This silence seemed to confirm my suspicion. The doubt on my face became increasingly serious. Su Yudi beside me watched with some fear. Afraid I would get angry and stop talking to her again. Had to tell the truth. My internship company is right opposite your building. Today, after work, I saw you change your route, so I followed behind you. I wanted to see where you were going. Unexpectedly witnessed you getting robbed. I was afraid your wallet had important documents. So, I intended to chase after them and get it back, but didn't expect they were carrying knives. Su Yudi spoke while observing my facial expression. Seeing me return to an expressionless state, hurriedly began apologizing. I am sorry, Zhuangjiang. I didn't deliberately want to follow. You only followed me today? Or have you always been following me? Faced with my question, Su Yudi hesitated for a moment, still wanting to lie a bit. It doesn't count as following, just that our work ending times are similar. Every day I return home a little before or after you, so she had been following me for 2 or 3 months. No wonder I occasionally ran into her. So everything had a purpose. I couldn't help but regret my subjectivity. I glanced at Su Yudi, who was fidgeting. My voice wasn't very good. I've already told you very clearly before. No matter what you do, I will not agree to get back together. Hearing this sentence from my mouth again, the little confidence Su Yudi just had vanished. The light in her eyes darkened. Her voice lowered. I know. I am not trying to force you to be with me. I just want to be near you. Can you not drive me away? Hearing her aggrieved tone, I really didn't know what to say. Lowered my head, recalling the past. Wasn't Su Yudi originally cold, speaking as if every word was precious? Why now, as soon as she opens her mouth, she makes me silent? Seeing she wanted to say more, my goosebumps all stood up. I hurriedly interrupted. Being wounded and hospitalized. Haven't you contacted your family? Su Yudi vaguely guessed what I was about to say, her mind spinning several rounds quickly. My family members are all busy with work, afraid they won't have time to fly over to take care of me. Hearing her say this, my face immediately showed incomprehension. A daughter is injured, stabbed with a knife. Parents don't even come to visit. Seeing I didn't believe her, Su Yudi hurriedly found a reason. Actually, my closed-off personality is also related to my parents being busy with work, not taking good care of me. They often travel for business meetings everywhere. Sometimes for a whole month they might not come see me once. This time the wound isn't serious. They likely won't come. Seeing no sign of lying on her face like before, I believed a little. So you didn't tell Gu Xingchen either? Hearing me ask this, Su Yudi immediately became slightly anxious, hurriedly proving that she and Gu Xingchen were innocent. Actually, he doesn't care about me that much. It's just that I used to like him too much. He enjoyed my preferential treatment, so he was close to me. Hearing her say this, I was also surprised. So Su Yudi was like me. Both were the inferior ones in love. Thinking of her chasing after Gu Xingchen, while Gu Xingchen paid no attention. I suddenly felt a sense of schadenfreude. Bad people will meet worse people. I couldn't help wanting to laugh, but thinking of the circumstances, I still held it back. Picked up an object on the table, coldly dropped a sentence. You got injured because of saving me. So during your hospitalization, take responsibility. You just focus on recovery. I am leaving now. Su Yudi originally wanted to keep me there, but hearing clearly what I said, smiled with joy and replied, I will recover very well, waiting for you to come. I didn't respond to her, hurriedly left the hospital room, while Su Yudi was full of anticipation. Mother Zhuang carried a thermal container in. The night-long wait was gone. Looking at this elder, Su Yudi's expression immediately retracted. Carefully asked about my whereabouts. Auntie, where is Zhuangjiang? Mother Zhuang put what she brought on the table, glanced at her. Zhuangjiang is working. No time to visit you. From now on, it will be me coming. If you need anything, tell me. Hearing this, Su Yudi's heart directly fell to the bottom of the abyss, her voice also becoming sad. Is he really that busy? Truly has no time to come. Towards Su Yudi, who had risked her life to save her son. Mother Zhuang had somewhat changed her view, but actually not by much. She opened the lid, scooped out the chicken soup inside and handed it to her. Not busy, but still no time to come. After all, you're an ex-girlfriend who just broke up. He has no more feelings for you. Meeting again would only bring more trouble. Su Yudi knew Mother Zhuang spoke the truth, but in her heart it was still hard to accept. In her eyes flashed a hint of loneliness. I don't intend to bother him. I just can't let go of the past. Not willing and wanting to try again, that's all. Although she didn't know. The two young people remembered my face from before. Mother Zhuang's heart was harder than iron. Directly spoke what had been hidden in her heart. No matter what happened in the past, that's all over. This boy is inherently kind. As long as the other party doesn't go too far, he will surely leave a way out. This time he's determined to end things with you. Proves that the conflict between you two has exceeded his tolerance limit. If you truly care about him, why did you let the conflict develop to such a serious level? Faced with Mother Zhuang's questioning, Su Yudi knew she was at fault. Couldn't say any explanation. The fate between you two is over. Don't force it anymore. You keep following him without letting go. Will only make him despise you more. From lovers to strangers. Do you want to become enemies? Listen to my advice. Live your own life well. How could Su Yudi not know Mother Zhuang was right? She had also advised herself many times, but as soon as she closed her eyes, in her head, continuously appeared, every moment beside me, half a lifetime. She had always longed for someone to wholeheartedly care for her. Once thought that person was Gu Xingchen, but he only wanted to be friends. And when I left, she discovered that person had already appeared, but she had deeply hurt that person. The regret and remorse that came too late made her completely abandon reason, only wanting to salvage the relationship, keep me by her side. But reality showed Su Yudi. Everything she did only pushed me further away. at this moment. She was confused and in pain, hesitant and desperate. On one side was the stubbornness from her bone marrow. On the other was letting go after rational thought. She couldn't decide. Mother Zhuang saw she seemed to be persuaded. Hurriedly continued, "You're both still young, haven't experienced much, also haven't met many people, so you're stuck in a relationship that should have ended. Unable to escape. Don't continue following Zhuangxiang anymore. This not only hinders his steps, but also obstructs your future. Actually, life is very long and wide. Rather than wasting energy on the past, better to look forward." During the time Su Yudi was hospitalized, I only visited her once before school started and didn't know during this period what had happened after all. She seemed to have become a different person. No longer had the coldness from before. Also no longer stubborn like the time before. After breaking up, the two could finally calmly sit together, talk. The topic was also no longer limited to love, but talking about the future. Su Yudi told me she decided after recovery to return to the country to continue studying, not staying in Paris anymore. Hearing her say this, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Sent good wishes. With your qualifications, you should stay in the country too. Develop well. Wish you bright prospects. Everything going smoothly. Seeing me finally smile, the corners of Su Yudi's mouth also lifted. What about you? Will you continue studying design? I nodded. Very good. Stay in Europe for in-depth training. There will be more opportunities. You also work hard. Hope in the future to see your designs in magazines. The two talked a bit more. Looking out the window, discovered it was getting dark, so I stood up to say goodbye. Watching my back gradually leaving, Su Yudi only felt her chest aching again. She couldn't help calling me back. I turned my head and gave her a look, full of surprise. Is there anything else? Su Yudi hesitated for a moment, still asked the question hidden in her heart. Now we're friends, right? I tilted my head thinking, then gave an uncertain answer. Let's say so. Su Yudi's face bloomed with a radiant prascode. Smile, raised her hand to wave goodbye. Pop! A sound. The hospital room door closed. The light in the room also dimmed a few degrees. Su Yudi looked out the window, only saw the slanting sunset hanging on the mountaintop, patches of black clouds covering the warmth. She dazedly closed her eyes, only leaving a soft, mumbled sentence.